spring of 1977, Jeff Garcia's little brother Jason died at the age of 6. The accidental drowning left the family reeling.
I don't think you ever think about something tragic happening like that.
The loss of their young son pushed Jeff's parents into a deep period of depression. Jeff's father tried to bury his sorrow by delving into his work. Jeff's mother clung tight to her other children.
She was struggling with just everything that was going on in her life and in our lives. And I think that with my dad being the type of guy who was trying to juggle and do everything to provide for this family, there just wasn't a closeness at that time.
In the summer of '78, a mere 14 months after Jason's death, 5-year-old Kimberly was riding on the back of her dad's dump truck, which was hauling a tractor behind it.
When my dad was driving, she unfortunately was sitting back against this tailgate.
When a bump in the road jarred the tailgate open, Kimberly was knocked to the ground and immediately run over by the oncoming tractor.
She went from one hospital to being transported to another. Whatever could have been done lost out because of the time that was wasted.
For Bob and Linda Garcia, the loss of yet another child was all but unbearable.
You don't want anybody to go through that pain ever. You know, it's hard enough to lose a parent or your husband or a sister or something, but to lose the things that you love most in your whole life are your children.
For 8-year-old Jeff, it was incomprehensible.
There was just a huge loss, a huge void in my life. I can just remember putting a lot of blame on God and saying, why us? Why this family?
Jeff's parents tried to put the loss of Jason and Kimberly behind them. By 1979, daughters Janae and Melissa had been born. But even with 3 children to care for, their marriage was cracking at the seams.
My wife was more expressive than anybody in the family. At times she would say, you never say anything. And I mean, to me it was very painful to bring it back up.
It was very difficult. It was really hard on our marriage.
Mom wanted to basically stop life in a lot of ways and kind of just shut everything else off. And my dad trying to do his best to keep his mind off of thinking and dwelling on the unfortunate situations that took place, and it really started to separate them.
2 cruel twists of fate had matured and tempered 8-year-old Jeff Garcia. Now he was determined to be the one who would pull his family together.
I really felt like it was my responsibility, being an 8-year-old kid at the time or so, to like be there for now my 2 youngest sisters who are now within the family and do my best to try to create some happiness.
He's the one that got them through everything that they went through, and I mean, if it wasn't for him, I bet my parents probably wouldn't have made it together.
As Jeff reached out to comfort his parents, they responded in kind. His father left his coaching job to devote more time to his children.
I felt guilty in that I had not spent enough time with my children, to love them, to share things that are important in their life, and growing up and teaching them what life's all about.
Being able to have more time to spend with us as a family and me as a young boy growing up, I think was his way of trying to show that he wanted to be there for his family, wanted to see his son grow up, his daughters grow up.
For the Garcias, being together was the healing they needed.
It developed some great memories of just having so many great moments.
We were always together. It was a big unit.
Jeff and his father grew closer, spending time on the football field.
We were winning games, we were winning championships, and those championships were coming because my dad was the ultimate teacher.
In 1983, with the kids now older, Bob returned to Gavilan as head coach. His knowledge of Jeff continued.
When I went back to Gavilan and started coaching, I would bring the films home and I'd break all the films, offense and defense.
And I would sit there and I would just listen to him talk about football.
So he was gaining knowledge this whole time as he was growing up. This is before he was in high school.
It started to mold an understanding within me as far as being able to understand the game and the thought process behind the game.
Jeff was about to make the next step in his athletic career at Gilroy High School, but at 5'8" and 140 pounds, he was anything but the ideal specimen.
I found myself kind of a step slow in high school. I wasn't as fast as I wanted to be. I wasn't as strong as I wanted to be. I was kind of lanky at the time.
Jeff intensified his workouts with his father at Gavilan College to sharpen his game.
I started to gain confidence as a player and get notoriety as a player, and really finish that junior year with a solid season, and really believing that if I have another good senior year, well, there might be a scholarship offer ahead of me.
Garcia.
Jeff hoped that a scholarship might come from nearby Stanford.
I really wanted to play for Stanford and just knew that the prestige behind and what it was all about. And then bad breaks happened.
In a year, he broke his arm. Third game of the season or whatever there was, so everybody just kind of backed off.
I had to be brought back to reality. I had to rethink about what I was going to do with my future.
With his left arm in a cast, the scouts stopped calling. Jeff was left without any avenues to major college football.
They just call and say, well, how's Jeff doing? Well, he broke his arm. Oh, well, good luck, and they just dropped him.
Unfazed, Bob Garcia had a plan. He would have Jeff play for him at Gavilan College.
I said, look, Jeff, you're going to play for me. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up an offense especially for you to showcase your talents.
The fact that I was going to go play for my dad was not at all disappointing to me. It was something that I really looked forward to.
After a year of training and constant film sessions, Jeff was ready to showcase his talents. San Francisco City College would be his first test.
Jeff ends up throwing for about 450 yards, and we beat him. And George Rush, the head coach, comes down and he said, don't tell me. Is that your son? I go, yep, that's my son, boy. He said, God darn it, Bobby, he just tore us apart.
We were not holding anything back. It was kind of like an air show every weekend, and that's what made it so fun for me.
Garcia back to pass.
Jeff Garcia was named a junior college All-American.
It started to open some eyes out there.
San Jose State offered him a 3-year scholarship.
Jeff had made it to the next level due in part to his father's constant guidance and support. In the coming year, he would be in jeopardy of losing both.
That night, he went down to his knees, and they figured he had had a heart attack.
She said, Bobby, we love you. And you know what? It's sad that you're not going to see your son play.